we are going to make it very, very simple. Dogs bite, cats scratch. He writes, ladies and gentlemen, James Ellroy. Yeah! Yeah! Let the party begin. Thank you, James Ellroy, for being here tonight. For this book, Perfidia.
It's a masterpiece.
I read something about you.
It's my best book until I write my next book.
I know. I read an interview about you that you say, I've written 16 books, 16 masterpieces. Right. How can somebody say that?
To begin with, I never lie. Ergo, it's true. Ergo, I know this because I work very hard, because I have a covenant of consciousness with God, with my readers, with my publishers, to get better and better and better. And it's about the application of pure, hard consciousness to the art and craft of writing.
It is said that the human being, while getting age, declines. You think it's not your case? You think you're becoming better and better?
I think I'm getting better and better because I more and more rigorously apply consciousness. I understand that there is a thematic unity in my unconscious. I trust myself to know human beings, to put it down on the page. I trust myself as a stylist and as a technician. Where I do not trust myself is in the application of craft. Thus, I become that much more rigorous, a plotter and a planner.
We're here to talk also about America, and America through your books. On your passport, it's probably written American. What does it mean for you, this word?
Let me quote Saul Bellow and substitute the words Los Angeles for Chicago. Bellow begins The Adventures of Augie March with, I am an American, Chicago-born, Chicago, that somber city, and go at things as I have taught myself. I'm self-taught. I'm uniquely American. My feelings for America are sympathetic, filial, and devoted. I feel American to my bones. I feel the American idiom in my bones, and that's what I bring to the craft.
And what does it mean in today's world to be American?
I haven't the vaguest motherfucking idea what it means, because I write entirely in period. Perfidia, my most recent book, takes place in real time between December 6th and the 23rd of 1941. Ergo, I deny the existence of everything after that time period. And I'm not being disingenuous here. It doesn't exist for me.
You wrote in the periods between 1941, Perfidia, Second World War. It will end in 1946, I guess, the end chapter. You wrote through 72, maybe, in the trilogy and the word USA. What is so special about that time period, except the fact that it was the one of your youth?
Well, I wasn't born until 1948.
Of course, I know.
which is the year of the rat in Chinese astrology. And rats are humble, which I am, hardworking, which I am, and they're prone to crawl around in sewers, which I have been prone to do in my lifetime. When I tell you that I trust the thematic unity in my subconscious, it's like saying this: I am drawn to crime. I am drawn to sexual obsession. I am drawn to, in a word, history. Official misconduct, unofficial misconduct, personal misconduct, and I'm a literary megalomaniac. The grand design of my career is to rewrite American history to my own specifications. Thus, the threadbare research and the constant reliance upon myself to make it up. That's my concern. If aspects of history, periods of history, places in history, real life people yell out at me, Elroy, write me, I say, like Renfield in Dracula, Master, I come, and I do.
Okay. You've quoted Soul Below to begin, and talking about what it was to be American. You don't know exactly what it is to be American, and you don't care about it. But is there something called American literature for you?
Yes. It's the hard-boiled canon. The most influential moments in musical history, the beginning of Beethoven's Third Symphony, the two hammer blows that begin the Eroica. For the hard-boiled canon, the American crime novel, it's the first paragraph of Dashiell Hammett's first novel, Red Harvest. I first heard Personville called Poisonville by a red-haired mucker named Hickey Dewey in The Big Ship in Butte. That's the tonal chord for the American hard-boiled canon. I know very little outside the American hard-boiled canon. That's the tonal chord. The first masterpiece of the hard-boiled canon is Hammett's novel, The Maltese Falcon. The most recent volume, the most recent masterpiece in the hard-boiled canon, dare I say, until I eclipse it. Yes, I know you did. No, shit. I would rule the world if I had your head of hair. And I'm wondering if before the night's over, you'll give me a transplant. But that's another story. That's American literature to me. Frank O'Connor, who wrote circa 1895 to 1920, wrote, "A literature that cannot be vulgarized is no literature at all and will not last." I am simultaneously out to do three things: vulgarize American literature, refine the language of American literature, and exalt that language.
We were talking about American literature and the way you write about the language. The language is something very important in your literature. Every character has its own language. It seems like it's one of the greatest pleasures that you have as a writer. Is it right or not? Giving a voice.
Yes.
And why most writers can't deal with that?
Are you talking about racial invective?
No,
Are you
no,
talking about
everything in your work that makes that every character has its own voice, its own way of speaking?
It's about consciousness to me. The outline for Perfidia is 700 pages. It's a 750-page hardcover. I know the plot every which way. I know it broken down to individual line breaks before I write the first word of the text. This allows me to write a very densely structured book and understand going in that the story isn't Violet. Once I have that superstructure, I can live in the individual voices of the characters and in their dialogue. So what I'm doing, in effect, is writing every book of mine twice, in outline form and in finished form.
How much does it take to write the outline form, from from scratch to the end of the outline form?
10 months,
And to write the book,
year and a half,
how much work every day?
8 to 14 hours.
No.
Yes,
14 hours of writing?
yes.
Writing, or thinking about it?
I write, I take a nap, I walk over to the stair climber in my office, that kind of day.
It means that all your life is about writing. 8 to 14 hours, all your life is about writing.
I also eat, I also breathe, I also think.
We're talking about American literature, and American fiction is really, really connected to crime. We have the movies, we have the TV series, we are saturated with that, and everything is about violence. Why do you think American fiction and violence are so much connected?
We're a new republic. We're barely 240 years old. We're working ourselves out domestically and in the world. And very early on, we went for the big, popular okey doke. If jazz is the music of America, and it is, it's a profound language. And if the greatest generic fiction is crime fiction, it is the greatest of genre fictions. That's it right there. We are what we see. And in the case of the hard-boiled canon, we go back to Dashiell Hammett and the creation of the canon again. And this traumatized, tubercular Pinkerton operative and goon during the Anaconda Copper Wars who didn't think that he'd live much past the following Tuesday. And he gave us the workers' torch song. Let me quote here a jurist literary critic named Richard T. Bazelon, who might have been on the American Supreme Court. The core of Hammett's art is his vision of the masculine figure in American society. He is primarily a job holder. He goes at his job with a ruthlessness that proceeds from his unwillingness to go beyond it. This relationship to the job is perhaps quintessentially American. I am an American male job holder, and I have Hammett's blood in my veins. And for me, the job is the creation of novels, and it is the solving of magnificently complex murder cases within, and also the resolution of stratospherically complex political conspiracies. I was made to do this shit. There's a traumatic event that attends the art that I try to create. It's my mother's murder in 1958, unsolved, when I was 10 years old. But your explanation for your life cannot be, it happened to me, or it was done to me. I have applied consciousness and a life of faith to the task of overcoming this horrible event. And at a certain point, I was simply influenced as a writer by my autodidactical, diffuse, all over the fucking place reading. And I just happened to have it. And just happening to have it, knowing people, having a flair for language, well, given that, and that's an enormous thing, I have supplanted it moment to moment, step by step, by the application of craft. Dedicated, methodical, meticulous in the extreme.
Like a killer.
Like a kid?
Like a killer.
Like a killer, but a benevolent one. Yeah. Like my greatest bull terrier, Barco. You put a cat in front of Barco the bull terrier, cat's not getting away. You put a piece of paper and a pen in front of me, it ain't getting away either.
You just say something very interesting. Life can be fulfilled while you're saying it has been done to me. But we are all here tempted of saying that every day. They did that to me. Life has done that to me. It happened to me. How did you, and when did you cope with that? And did you understood that it was not a solution? And the solution was action.
That's a fabulous question. Here's my answer. Very early on, to one degree of consciousness or another, and this is hard to pinpoint because I was 10 years old at the time of the event, but I made up my mind to be happy and personally fulfilled. And I was already a big reader, but my reading focus turned to crime. Because the death of my mother was an unsolved death. And I at first started to read kids' crime books that featured pat, happy solutions. Well, that didn't last very long because I was unsatisfied emotionally and intellectually. So I turned to one of the great hard-boiled writers of the era, Mickey Spillane.
We were talking about violence, and I remember in one interview or one book, I can't remember, it was a long time ago, that you tried to explain that never-ending violence that's going on in the world. And you just said, it's all about poverty. It's not about lack of morality. It's not because of the explosion of the concept of the family cell. It's nothing about that. Violence is all about poverty. Do you still think that?
No. I retract that statement 100%. If you take nothing away from this talk tonight, take this away right here.
Okay,
crime,
but where is the root? Oh, okay, sorry.
Crime? Yes. Crime is individual moral forfeit on an epidemic scale. That's it. People capitulate as individuals to the basest aspects of their nature and take it out on other people. In a just society, a society of stern laws, this cannot be tolerated.
Okay. Violence is something that's very appealing to us when we're young, when we're teenagers. We need that violence. We need to test, to see how it is, to feel it, to give it. But while growing old, did you lose interest in that very frontal violence? For example, in Perfidia, there is no more that very frontal violence that all your cops had before. Why?
Perfidia is a historical romance. Perfidia, by the way, is the first book in the second LA Quartet. And the design of the second LA Quartet is unprecedented. First of all, you have the original LA Quartet, the Black Dahlia, the Big Nowhere, LA Confidential, and White Jazz. 4 novels set in Los Angeles between 1946 and 1958. Followed that up with the Underworld USA trilogy, American Tabloid, The Colt 6000, Bloods a Rover. It's America at large between 58 and 72. Perfidia is a historical romance in the first of 4. In this new series, I take characters, real life and fictional, from the first 2 bodies of work and place them in LA during World War II as significantly younger people. This book, the book I'm writing now, the 2 that will ultimately follow and conclude the new quartet, are largely romances, love stories, the romance of history, novels of ideals.
So you did it.
Do you mean I
Because
changed?
at the end, what's important?
What's important? Love is important.
To write romance.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
That's what we remember of that evening.
What's the theme of all these books of mine? Bad men in love with strong women.
Of course. I want to end with that question of violence. We are oversaturated by that violence in the news, of course, in the movies, in the TV series, but we keep asking for it. Why?
With violence, we hope to inculcate ourselves, to inure ourselves to its power, to its force to destroy. Every morally defined crime drama takes us to a point of implied salvation and resolution.
I want to change subject. You explained to me one time, we met for the Ilike curse, I think. And you were explaining to me that you don't want to see LA as it is today. You don't want to see the world as it is today because it's blurring your vision of Los Angeles, the vision of Los Angeles you want to have to write your books. Can you explain us how do you live to keep that very clear idea of the Los Angeles of the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s? Do you close your eyes for not seeing the world today?
To begin with, I don't live in LA anymore.
Of course.
I live in the American Midwest. That's one. 2, I am computer illiterate. I don't write on a computer. I've never logged onto a computer. I don't have a television set. I don't have a cell phone. I have a fax machine and a landline telephone. So I'm well equipped to ignore the world. It's my deepest inclination. I am happiest alone in a room. I am happiest rewriting history to my own specifications. I was meant for Calvinist application to task. I'm 68 years old, and albeit in stunningly good health, I will one day leave this earth, and I am determined not only to write LA 1941 to 45 to my own specifications, but to do another post-war trilogy. The Hellhound is on my trail, and the Hellhound's name is mortality, and that motherfucker is biting me in the ass. And I am determined to outrun him. And if he gets that close, I'm going to turn around and bite him on the ass. And in the meantime, I am determined not to waste time.
Mm-hmm. The question you don't like, I guess, is, of course, with the world going on today, we would like, as readers, to have the possibility to read a James Ellroy book on what's happening today. Because today, in Europe, in America, there are still good cops, bad cops, villains, beautiful girls. Why are you never tempted to write about today? Because, for example, in America, there is that Black Lives Matters movement. There is quite a very important movement. There have been smudges. Does it interest you or not at all?
It doesn't interest me at all, Daddy-O, because if it did, I'd write about it. Yeah.
Yes, but why doesn't it interest you?
I don't know why it doesn't interest me.
Because it's
1941 LA interests me more. And because that's the shit that I do. Yeah. You can make an imperfect case for yours truly as a fascist or an oblivious motherfucker with his head in his sand. That's not me. However, you can make a damn good case for me as a reactionary because I am buried so far in the past that I don't even like rock and roll. Yeah. I mean, I think it's decadent, shitty, low-class music. And my idea of the great hits of the 70s are the 1870s when Bruckner and Wagner were doing their best work. Because I don't do something, it doesn't mean that I consider the something that I'm not doing meretricious. I'm saying that there's something that vibrates my vindaloo more.
Great answer.
Thanks,
you.
boss.
So, I come back again. Except love of women and writing and books. What excites you?
I love dogs.
Okay.
I love America. I love classical music. I love boxing. I like the lighter weight Mexican fighters, most of all. I like flyweights, bantamweights, featherweights. Let's see, what else is there? I love hard-boiled fiction. I appreciate a good crime movie, crime television show, the new long-form TV shows where you have 20 hours, 20 episodes with an individual crime. That shit vibrates my vindaloo. I appreciate a good hamburger.
You're American.
I'm an American. LA born, LA, that somber city, and go at things as I have taught myself.
Okay, after what excites you, what horrifies you?
The abyss of the individual soul where there is no God and there is no ray of light.
I don't have any answer for you.
Groovy.
Only that?
Pardon me?
Nothing horrifies you except that?
That's it, right? Everything. That's an everything answer. Everything can fall into that.
Sometimes it seems like the world slips on you as you had something else to do here than just living. Just like a goal, you talk about it, huh? Like a mission, telling America through your eyes and through your books, of course. It needs a great ambition, I guess. Ambition.
Yeah, I possess it.
Okay, we understand. Did you had the opportunity to live, or it was just about writing? To have, dream about vacations, about having a dog, you did, having a child, having a wife, of course, and having a life.
Right.
Or it was just about writing?
I have a life. I have a wife. She's actually my second ex-wife, who's my girlfriend. It's a long story that I'm not going to tell you.
Thank you.
Which you can ask the woman in question who's out there in the audience right now, and she might be able to dish. I have a life. The most intense aspects of this life are yours truly at his desk.
The most intense thing that you did in your life was writing.
Yes. Do you want to ask me why I write? Just ask me, why do you write?
Okay. They talk about it before.
Just
it was
come
about
on.
sharing experience. Why do you write, James?
Come on, yell it out from you. Why do you
Why
write?
do you write? Okay. Why do you write?
In my craft or sullen art, exercised in the still night, when only the moon rages and the lovers lie abed with all their griefs in their arms, I labor by singing light, not for the strut and trade of charms upon the ivory stages, but for the common wages of their most secret heart. Not for the proud man apart do I write on these spindrift pages, but for the lovers, their arms round the griefs of the ages, who pay no praise or wages, nor heed my craft or art. Dylan Thomas.
And why do you write?
Daddy, you can't close better than that, unless you want me to read from my book.
Last question, please. Because I want to talk about hope before leaving you. Because there is no much hope in your early books. It's becoming. Do you think tomorrow, today is a difficult word, I know, but tomorrow, do you think we can imagine like something like a better world, or what we live today is just the best human race has to offer?
The human race is still evolving. As someone once said, an ideologue of some sort, at one time in history, who are we to give up hope?
Okay, let's read.
Yeah.
Perfidia, a reading by James Ellroy.
Reminiscenza. I wandered off in a prairie village 85 years ago. The cold rendered me spellbound then to now. I have outlived the decree and find myself afraid to die. I cannot will cloudbursts the way I once did. I must recollect with yet greater fury. It was a fever then. It remains a fever now. I will not die as long as I live this story. I run to then to buy myself moments now. 23 days, blood libel. A policeman knocks on a young woman's door. Murderer's flags aswirl. 23 days, this storm. Reminiscenza. Come on, Jerome, come on, take it back.